Contracts are super important in business. So whenever you're doing business or you're starting up your business, think about how you can create some contracts that you can have customers start before they engage with you, before you do a project for them. It's really important to set the tone with the customer to let them know that you're serious about business, and these are the outlines of the contract in case anything arises or any problems. You want them to be able to see exactly what the stipulations are and the rules and regulations of how they're going to engage with your business, what the contract is for how the services will be provided, where the product will be provided, and what their recourse is in case they don't like what certain things that occur in the process of the transaction. Now, recently I was working on a bid for a nonprofit, and they wanted us to help them do the bid for a grant. So you may find yourself in what I call a three-way quote, which means that the person has reached out to you to quote something, but they're trying to achieve a quote with somebody else, or in this case it was a grant, but it could be with another third party, and they want you to do a lot of the legwork and a lot of the work that's required, the intellectual property, to generate in order to get the grant or to get the quote in the proposal. So you may find yourself in a three-way. So this is what I recommend you do. Before you hop on it and start doing all this work for them and providing it for them, what I want you to do is create a contract stating that if I do all of the work to create all the layout that helps you get this grant, you are contractually obligated to then use me as the contractor for the work provided in the quote that the grant will pay for. Before I do that, so before I go lay out all this work on laying out, oh, this is how this is gonna work, that's how that's gonna work, all the scope of everything that needs to be done, it's a lot of energy and time that's go into that. Before I do that, I make the customer sign a contract that obligates them to use me if they get awarded the contract in the first place. So if they're not actually the ones paying for the service, make sure you get a contract in place that states that they will have to use you no matter what. And not only on this particular bid or this particular grant in this case, but any in the future that uses your intellectual property to get that grant. Because what can happen is you go through all this work, you put in hours of work to put together this really nice presentation, they submit that, they get the grant, and then they decide, oh, I want to use a different provider for that. We got a nice big fat grant, we got a lot of money in the bank, let's just go with this other provider that we like better. So they have no obligation to use you unless you have a contract in place. And it turns out when you put those in place, guess what? Oftentimes they'll come back to you and say, oh, you know what? We'll just go ahead and put the grant together ourselves. Just provide us a regular quote, and then we'll make all that work happen on our end. And if we want to use you, we'll use you. Well, that's a lot more fair now, isn't it? So it's interesting how contracts make the contract make dealings much more fair oftentimes. Will work out in a much better place. So if you find yourself feeling like things happen to you unfairly in business, think about where your contract's at and if the contracts are really protecting you or not. And you may want to reach out to a business attorney. I definitely recommend you do that. But have contracts in place. If you can't afford to get a business attorney, create contracts, just make contracts up anyways. It's better to have something in place than nothing when things go wrong, or just with all clients, no matter what. It just looks you more professional and it will give you more peace of mind. And like I said, it can oftentimes make situations go better in your favor where you're not having to work a lot and for wasted time. So that's what we want to protect. We want to protect ourselves in business at all times. This is Joe Field with SkyPoint Studios. I hope you really enjoyed my videos and continue to watch them, continue to share, like, hit me down below if you have any questions about contracts. So I'd love to chat about this. I think it's a great topic. I'll see you on the next video.